There's no wrong reason to get an abortion.
There's a right reason to get an abortion. Let's invert that statement. There's no wrong reason to have an abortion. Now, another way of saying it is there's a right reason to have an abortion. And honestly, personally, I think so, yes. I think a woman can have an abortion for whatever reason that she wants. Okay? Whether she wants to because she just can't raise a child, doesn't want to, for whatever reason, even though she's really well off, even though she has help and support in every areas, and she does, even if she doesn't have a family members to help her out, she can still get assistance from the government. And even if she got the baby from a deadbeat dad, she has a right to do it. She has a right to do it. And I think as long as it's not like, as long as the baby isn't like, doesn't have like arms and limbs and stuff like that, you know. I think at that point, like, yeah, it's totally fine. Before that point, like, probably like what? It's like a month. I think a woman has like a good month for her to realize that, yes, and I don't want a baby. 2 months is pushing it. It's pushing it. Okay, it's pushing it. But I think definitely before that time, she can get an abortion for whatever reason she wants. Okay, and sure, we can throw out that whole rape and that, accusation that maybe she was assaulted. Maybe she was involuntarily, and that's obviously a horrible thing that happens. Okay, absolutely terrible. I think it's every woman's worst fear for that to happen to her. But that is a small anomaly. Like, I would say it's like 1% of all abortions are because of that. Most of them, I'm gonna say like a good 99% of abortions that women get are all voluntary because of her own volition, because of her own decision. Okay, and I think that she's entitled for that decision. Me personally, and also one more thing too I need to say about this is that I heard Royal Tomasi say this, and is that abortion truly is a woman's greatest expression of hypergamy, because she is essentially saying that by me getting this abortion, I will not continue this man's genetic legacy, and I will go out and look for something much more better. That is essentially what she is expressing. Okay? Because I'm sure that would really hurt for a man to be in that situation, to be with a woman, have her get pregnant, him get all excited and happy at the fact that they're going to be a family together, that he's going to be a father, and then she's going to be a mother, and that they're all going to live this great happy life. And then around later on, it turns out this man is not the man that I thought he was. He is not the man that I want to have a family with. I'm going to get an abortion. I'm sure that is devastating. However, that is her choice. She has a right to leave. She has a right to have that abortion, get rid of the kid, just as that man has a right to leave that woman.
So I'll just center the conversation around the very fact that, we're a group of 8 men. The optics of 8 men in a room talking about when women do and don't deserve to get an abortion it's a bad look. So For me, from a personal standpoint, I have a girlfriend. There might be some reasons on a personal level where her and I having that conversation together, I might say, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. On a legislative level, I don't feel confident enough to legislate when someone is and isn't allowed to get health care. Because that's what abortion is, it's health care.
Yeah. I really don't like how that guy speaks at all. Not at all. And something tells me that his girlfriend really does wear the pants in the relationship.
Paramount ideologies of, I guess, being a quote-unquote male feminist is just the ability to mind your own business. Just to be able to say that this is the wrong reason to have an abortion, you're already headed down the wrong path.
Yeah. So being an anti-feminist, I look at this and I say, well, I am more religious as well.
As am I.
So I want to say, I'm more like pro-life, right? But if a woman decides that they want to not give birth, it doesn't matter the reason. You know, maybe she's not wealthy enough. Maybe, you know, the father left her. You know, there's so many reasons. And then I also look at like just gun violence and how we're like birthing kids and we raise them and send it to school knowing that it can get killed. I don't know. I would feel like
it's like not it's not the best world to be raising a child in.
Exactly.
That's not a good reason to not bring a kid into the world, because the world's always going to be fucked up in one way or another, no matter what generation you're in. You go back to the 70s, we had war. Go back hundreds of years from now, we had plague. We had diseases. That's not a valid reason to not bring a child into the world. Okay? The world in one way or another is always going to be messed up. There's always going to be violence. There's always going to be hurt. There's always going to be evil in the world. And it needs to exist because otherwise the good cannot be shined out if there is no evil to show it. Okay? The evil needs to exist in the world so that good can come in and prevail. Okay? That's the truth. Pro-life refers to the belief that the unborn fetus has a right to life and that abortion is morally wrong. Okay. Pro-life individuals and organizations typically advocate for laws and policies that protect the fetus and restrict or prohibit abortion. They also provide support and resources for pregnant women who choose to carry their pregnancy to term and for mothers who have chosen to raise their children. Pro-life can also refer to the oppression to euthanasia and assisted suicide. Can you say that on YouTube? What's the opposite of pro-life? Pro-choice? Yeah, it's pro-choice. Pro-choice. Pro-choice, advocating legalized abortion compared with pro-life. Okay.
I think a patriarchal element, even in your answer, not to combat or what have you, the idea of trying to cycle through the reasons why and going, yeah, I guess those make sense, is still, in my opinion, patriarchal.
Even though I was on the feminist side on that topic, it feels like I was put in a position where I was framed as wrong. It felt like you aren't allowed to have this opinion on this topic because you're not a woman. And I think that's kind of bullshit, to be honest.
Off the top of my head, I know that was mentioned earlier that abortion is healthcare, and I first want to push back on that. Abortion is not healthcare. Healthcare preserves life, it protects it. It doesn't take it away, it doesn't eliminate it.
What about the woman's life?
But when you exterminate a child, that is doing harm.
Oh, but it's
that
not always
not
a child, right? So it's a discussion when it becomes a child or not. That's not a gray area. That's not a line.
It is actually scientifically proven. It is a separate strain of DNA at conception. If you ask any doctor,
but if you took that clump of cells out, would it survive?
It's not a clump of cells. That's why you call it a termination. Scientifically, it is a life at birth, and scientifically, it is at conception. At conception,
it is a life, but it is not a human.
So look,
What's the guy's name?
Scientifically, it is a life at birth,
Donovan?
and scientifically, it is
at
conception. At conception,
it is a life, but it is not a human.
so look, though, the thing is, so when you say it's about protecting life, abortions are protecting lives of thousands of women who maybe are not able to
at
have
the expense of another life.
But you're already prioritizing that other life over the woman who's carrying that life.
Because of patriarchy.
Okay, shut up with your patriarchy BS. I mean, can it really be considered a life if it's just a clump of cells? I mean, what if I scratch my hand right now and get rid of all a bunch of dead skin cells, clump them all together, maybe some clumps of my hair around that I have, you know, some hair that I got from a haircut, clump it all together, put it all together in a big mush. That's a clump of cells. Is that considered life? If we find life on Mars, excavate through the dirt, and we find little bacteria, is that considered life? Or is it just a clump of cells?
Because of
That's why
patriarchy.
you're doing it.
Because of
Because we've
patriarchy,
already
you're
devalued
basically
women.
saying that
So what if we're
these
aborting a
cells
female
are more
baby?
important than the woman.
I think it's absolutely shameful how flippantly our society has begun to treat the topic of abortion. You are literally exterminating an unborn child.
To
That
protect
is
the
wrong.
life of
That is
another
wrong.
woman.
Then don't have sex without protection.
Really, you don't
and
have
get
sex without
contraception.
protection. How about you don't have sex without
Well, I
protection?
don't have a
Tell them what they can
baby.
do.
I don't have a
Right.
baby.
Tell them what they can do.
Stop
Yeah.
absolving women and men
Yeah.
of responsibility and treating grown-ass people like they are children.
again, we're not emphasizing any of those things.
We're
going straight to women and making it their problem.
Well, it's a man's problem as well, because if a man gets a woman pregnant, that is his child as well. So one of the things that's really important, what abortion does, is it puts all of reproductive rights in the hands of women when it takes both parties. She cannot have a child without a man. Abortion normalizes women making bad choices. We've kind of given a free pass for people to be a lot more carefree about who they sleep with and not really think twice about the ramifications that may come of it.
But again, we're zooming in on a high level on the end result. We're not talking about the systemic issues that cause women to have abortions. Hold on. We're not talking about the lack of resources that make people feel like they cannot sustain a pregnancy or sustain a life. And those are things that are caused by the way men have set up society. So instead, hold on.
What are you saying, bro? Let's run it back.
We're zooming in on a high level on the end result. We're not talking about the systemic issues that cause women to have abortions. Hold on. We're not talking about the lack of resources that make people feel like they cannot sustain a pregnancy or sustain a life. And those are things that are caused by the way men have set up society. So instead, hold on. So instead of talking about the actual issues from the top down and going the whole way, we go to the most oppressed person involved and make it their fault.
Mansplaining is overly criticized.
Mansplaining is not real. It is a term used by feminists to demoralize men and to discredit men. Because really, the truth is that you need a man to explain complicated things simply. Because there's two different ways that people communicate, men and women communicate. If a woman explains something, she'll go up and down, left and right, all over the goddamn place, not getting right to the goddamn point, because she doesn't want to feel like she wants to offend anybody. Okay, she doesn't feel like she wants to get in confrontations with anybody by being so blunt, by being so direct. A man, though, he is more comfortable and getting right down to the damn point. Okay, because a man will much rather just be simple, short, sweet, to the point. A woman, she'll go all over the damn place, conflating, confusing everything, and it's just. I would much rather have a man explain to me something very complicated than a woman. Because a woman would just make it too damn complicated. She'll go on tangents all over the place, up and down, everywhere. Well, a man typically gets right to the damn point. Okay. However, though, I think that is all a matter on the both education level. Obviously, I would not choose an intellectual man over an intellectual woman or something that's complicated. That's obvious. But if you get two intelligent woman, intelligent man, I'll listen to the intelligent man a whole lot more than the woman. Because he'll get much more simpler and to the point.
I frequently come across videos online where like a man will respond back to a broad generalization about women, and they'll be like, oh, you're just mansplaining it, as if men aren't allowed to have a voice in the conversation. And I think that the term itself, it's just not really defined.
And mansplaining is just not real.
Yeah.
Like it literally is a man explaining something, and these people get angry about it. Like that's the reality of the times in which we live. And it hurts the ability of men to have conversations with women, because you think, oh wow, if I explain this issue to her, and I'm gonna be accused of mansplaining, or I'm gonna be accused of being sexist because I don't think she understands it. That's toxic, and it hurts women, it hurts men, and it's just not a way for us to have a functioning society.
And at its core, it's completely hypocritical, because the feminist plight is that women need to have a voice and they're being told they can't have a voice. And then they turn around and do the exact same thing and say, you're mansplaining me. You shouldn't have a voice about this topic because you're a man.
And we're targeted because of our identity, and no one cares about it because we're supposedly in positions of power, so we don't get to be victims. We don't get to say, oh, you should feel bad for us, because we're men, so we don't get to have the luxury of having the benefit of the doubt of society or the media or any of those things, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Right, yeah.
It's a shame, but that's the world that we live in. Honestly, truly, I think that really is one of the downsides of being a man, is that if you're really going through something bad and something even serious, and you go and complain about it and ask for pity, you will get ridiculed. I can think of many examples. All right, like that one guy who you guys know, the crying meme, who was a black guy who was crying on the internet because he was going through a custody battle. Just like Tyrese was his name. Tyrese. Yeah, he was going through a really serious battle. He really wanted to see his daughter, but he was going through divorce, and it was giving him a tough time. and he was made a meme out of. Will Smith was getting cucked right there by his wife on the Red Table Talk, and his crying face of discomfort was made into a meme. Terry Crews went in front of court or wherever, complaining that he was being grabbed and harassed by another man. He was literally sexually assaulted by another man, by him being grabbed inappropriately, and he was still getting made fun of. It's quite a shame too, how men going through bad things are not taken as serious as a woman, because a woman can just easily go and cry on TikTok, social media, to the media, wherever, and she will get loads of sympathy. As for a man that does that, typically he'll get ridiculed. So, but that's just the world that we live in.
I'm going to speak about mansplaining from a different perspective because you guys are talking about controversial topics. I'm going to talk about it from just like a day-to-day perspective. In my relationship with my partner, how I try
With his partner, not his girlfriend, not his wife, his partner. Bruh.
to be really mindful of mansplaining is when she is sharing her struggle. I think a tendency that can be conditioned in me through just how men dominate and want to have to solve problems and all that is I want to jump in and just solve it and try to explain what's happening here and try to question her experience and be like, hey, like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? Well, I see this. That inherently in itself comes off as mansplaining, because what is the counter to mansplaining is actually getting consent from the other person. How do you want to be supported? Do you want me to support you and listen to you, or do you want me to help solve problems?
It's also
So what? You have to ask for consent before having to explain yourself? Listen, I think it's just very clear that as a man, if we hear problems, we want to speak solutions. Okay? If a girl wants to go ahead and just talk, just feel listened to, just tell her to talk to her girlfriend. Talk to them about it. If you have a serious issue that you want to resolve, talk to the man about it. Okay? Otherwise, you just want to complain, voice, just talk to your girlfriends. Okay? Because I ain't trying to hear that shit. You talk to me, I'm going to try to fix it. Okay? I hear a problem, I'm thinking of solutions. If you just want to talk just to talk, do it to your girlfriends.
mansplaining is also not just a man having an opinion. That's not the situation. The idea is when a man interjects an opinion that he either is not fully educated on or does not have the appropriate empathy to be able to talk about.
See,
How is that different than a woman
qualifies
doing that?
Yeah.
So am I mansplaining in this video?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my issue.
Then feel free when a woman does that to say you're womansplaining. I don't think that
but
that's
see, I don't
That
wanna-
doesn't
wait,
fix
wait,
it.
that
There's a
doesn't
reason
fix
that
it.
term doesn't exist,
And that's
because you're not
childish.
allowed to do that towards women in society.
I promise you,
today.
if you did that, it
That's
would be
just
just
childish.
fine.
You just invented
It would be
a new
just
word.
fine.
Well, I think the difference is though, when if that were to happen to men, it wouldn't quiet our voices to being completely unheard. My wife is a physics and math teacher. If she has the answer to a question in a staff meeting, she's going to have to be louder than the men in the room, because that is the way society has conditioned people to operate, especially in male-dominated spaces.
Yeah.
That's what mansplaining is. I have one more question. Is it about the word?
Yeah, that's what I feel
Is
like
it
we
about
keep
the
on getting
words?
hung up on like words
No,
like
it
Y'all
is.
really
mansplaining
don't. Y'all have a lot of
and
problems with a lot of
patriarchy,
these
like,
languages.
When you say mansplaining,
Yeah.
you have to understand that subconsciously we're already creating a divide when really a woman can mansplain by definition the way you guys are explaining it, and that's just as wrong as if a man does it. So why is it called mansplaining? Why isn't it just disrespectful?
So when
yeah,
your life is
exactly.
not at stake, when you're not being attacked, I think you can focus on language. When you're not at risk of being,
You live in U.S., dude. That doesn't
Men are
happen.
attacked every single day.
women are attacked more.
But I think from a societal standpoint, you guys talk a lot about social conditioning and how women feel uncomfortable. But don't you think this narrative that you're saying right now is contributing to that? Telling women that they should be scared when they're in an environment full of men. Telling women that, you know, they are oppressed, they are this, they're that. By telling women they're less than
Let me
men.
respond to that. They're not telling them that. They're validating the fact that that's the reality.
Right.
Okay, look, if a woman, I think that's one of the biggest problem why society, especially in the U.S., is messed up the way it is that women are put into male spaces and are they think that the way for them to really shine in those areas is for them to be like the men, them to act masculine, and that comes with a whole slew of problems. okay, for women to act masculine in. Okay, so to wrap up, mansplaining isn't real. Okay, you male feminists don't know what the hell you're talking about. Blue shirt guy's the smartest. Let's see who else is here. Yeah, this guy's pretty smart. That guy, don't know much about him. He's religious but too weak, too soft spoken. This guy, he's soft spoken, but he's very intelligent.